Hey guys, I'm Chantel. This is Intentional Homeschooling, and if you have ever felt boxed in by the idea or trying to use a curriculum before and would really like to homeschool without a curriculum, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. First of all, a little announcement. I am planning on coming back to weekly posting here. I took kind of a bit of a lighter load for the summer and just posted a video every other week. But I think now that I'm getting back into the autumn rhythm, there should be a video here almost every week. If there's not, it may be because I'm doing a video in my membership that week instead. But for the most part, I'm thinking I'll be back to a video a week here, especially since I am kicking off a new series that is all about homeschooling without a curriculum. Now, if you've watched like old videos on my channel, years ago, I want to say it was like 3 years ago, I did videos on each subject, homeschooling each subject without a curriculum, and I'm going to be doing that again this fall. But now my kids are older. If that video was 3 years old, you know, like they're 3 years farther into their educational careers, we found different resources that work better for us or just better for this stage. So we're going to be going through each of the major subjects, and I'm going to be sharing different resources and how I teach that subject without a curriculum. But today I just wanted to do like an overview of what homeschooling without a curriculum is and how it's not really as scary as it might feel. One other thing though, if you are interested in this idea of homeschooling without a curriculum, you may need some kind of way to document the learning that you are doing. So I would highly recommend that you check out my free homeschool reverse planner. I have a free download for you, and the idea behind this is that you track the things that you did in your homeschool instead of the things you plan on doing, and that way you never feel like you're behind, because if you don't check all the boxes, I often feel like I'm falling behind, but this way I can see all the learning that we do, even in moments when we weren't trying to learn something about history, but we just happened to. So I will leave the link for the homeschool reverse planner printable down below for you. Okay, before we get into it though, of course, I have a few disclaimers. First of all, you have to look into what your area where you homeschool requires. Where I live, we aren't required to do a whole lot. We have a little bit of documentation, but we don't have to follow any kind of curriculum. We don't have to homeschool a certain amount of hours per year, nothing like that. So keep in mind that that's the mindset I'm coming into this idea of homeschooling without a curriculum with. But if you have certain things that you need to get done in your school because of your district or the different place that you live, obviously you have to do that. The second thing I want to say is, yes, schools use a curriculum, and I think we've all kind of been trained to believe then that is the right way to teach kids, is using a curriculum. But the reason that schools need a curriculum is because everyone that's kind of the same age is supposed to be kind of on the same level. They have to go over the same things, because if kids switch schools either in the middle of a year or, you know, even between years, they need to have kind of covered the same things. And also, like, the higher ups need to be able to see if teachers are actually doing their job. Like, the reasons that curriculum exists is not really for the students. It's not because this is the best way to teach a child. It's just because that's what you have to do when you are running a large organization with a lot of kids. The nice thing about homeschooling is we get to customize everything to our kids. Even if you have 10 kids that are all in school, like in your homeschool right now, those are still better numbers than the average teacher. So just keep that in mind. And I'm sure there are lots of different ways to go about homeschooling without a curriculum. I'm just going to share how I do it for us. If you have never watched any of my videos, you might not know that I am actually a former teacher. I was educated as a teacher. I spent a little while in the school system before, first of all, I realized I don't want to be teaching other people's kids. I want to teach my own. And then I also realized just how broken the system is. There is one particular day, I remember this one girl, I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I wasn't quite a teacher yet. Maybe I was like a teacher's assistant, because I did that for a while before I became a teacher. But this one girl, she was done all her assignments, very smart, like top of the class kind of thing. This was grade 2. She was done everything, but the teacher would not allow her to read a book. She just had to sit in her desk. It's like she was being punished for being smart. And this is it was like a big red flag for me, because this is the year that, I think this was the year that my daughter was in kindergarten. because we put her in for kindergarten, into school, traditional school. And I just remember thinking, like, if this is what you get for being a smart kid, like, I would love it if kids were finishing stuff and they got to read. So those are reasons I wanted to get out of the school system. I totally appreciate teachers. We need them. Not everybody wants to homeschool or can afford to homeschool. Teachers are amazing to be able to like manage all those kids. But I've been there and I've realized if you can homeschool, it is definitely the way to go. Okay, so here is my step-by-step process in how I kind of like create our own outline for the year instead of using a purchased curriculum, because I would purchase a curriculum, I know, and I would never finish it because that's just my personality. I like to hop around from thing to thing, and if things aren't working, I like to discard them. So the first thing that I do is I grab a piece of paper and I write my kid's name on top, so 1 page per child, and I start down by writing all their different interests. And sometimes when I'm making this, I will like check in with them and ask them some of their interests as well. Not just the interests that I see, but the ones that I think they have. This can be funny because sometimes they'll mention things that are an interest to them, and it's like, well, you never, like they said bugs, like you never look at bugs. Like, why would you say that's an interest? But it's something they think that they're interested in, so it's something worth exploring. Then kind of in relation, obviously, I like to make a list of things that I see that they excel in. So often kids will excel in areas of interest to them. There's a lot of overlap there. But sometimes there are things that kids can excel in that they don't really see as an interest, or like it just comes naturally to them that it doesn't seem so much like an interest. And then on the flip side, I also make a list of things that, like areas I'm seeing them struggle in, that I want them to grow in. And because we are homeschoolers, we don't just have to keep this to traditional subjects. If there are habits that I want my kids to work on, those also go on this list. So if I want my kids to, maybe they're really lazy and I want them to work on different routines or rhythms to help with that, that can go on the list. So after I have this list of all the different things that we might be kind of exploring throughout the year, then I start looking up resources. So this can be lots of different things. Often this means library books. Sometimes it means different unit studies, or like I'll look to see what other people have, or I'll create my own because I have a tendency to do that. This could be like different YouTube videos or YouTube channels, or maybe somebody in our life that is really good at this one thing that a kid is interested in. Like there's so many different options for this area, field trips, etc. Then the next thing I like to do, this can often be overlooked, I feel like, is to look at the 12-month calendar and see if any of these interests fit during a particular season. Otherwise, I tend to miss things. So if you have a kid that is really into gardening, let's say, then you know, you kind of want to get them going in the spring, or like you want to make sure you're not missing planting season and stuff like that. So if there's any interests or things that you want them to work on that are kind of time specific, make note of that so that you don't think about it like a month after that time has gone by. Been there. So that's super simple, but that is like the bulk of how we get our own like curriculum. It's kind of like an individualized curriculum per child that I make. Some of the stuff we will decide that we want to learn together. Some of it we will make for a specific child. This year I have one child that I'm going to be working with a little bit more, one that is going to be kind of going more the unschooling route. And I think it's good to always be, you know, trying different things, seeing what works for your family, shifting for different seasons. For this year, I am going to be having a child in traditional kindergarten again, which I haven't had for years because our foster kids are supposed to go to school. So I will be working with homeschooling as well as like traditional school. And let me just say, based on the number of emails that I've had to like send back and forth already, oh, I don't think that traditional schooling saves any time. I'm already dreading it. Like, I'm a homeschool mom at heart, not a traditional school mom, so this year is going to be a hard one for me. Okay, and then I want to like reiterate, once you have kind of your outline of the things that you want to study and the resources you want to use, and maybe some of this plugged into your calendar, the best thing that I have found is reverse planning. And like I said, I have that free printable. Just go ahead and plug the different things in so it has the different subjects, and I just use it each week, and I write down when I see kids learning, or if we're intentional with learning, like I'll say history, learned about World War I or something like that. And that helps me so much at the end of the year when I make my end of the year homeschool report. It makes me feel better as a mom on those days when I'm like doubting if I'm doing okay, because we will all have those days. All of those days where we're like, it would just be easier to put them in school. And then I can look back and be like, no, like, look at all the stuff that we're learning. Look at the good times that we're having. So I have found reverse planning to work really well for me. It's super simple. It doesn't require buying like a fancy planner. Although if you want a printed version, I think I have this one up in my KDP shop for those that actually want it printed and kind of like bound. I will leave that linked below in case you're that kind of person that wants a physical thing and not print it out yourself. So that's just an overview on how we homeschool without a curriculum. This is the beginning of a series that will be multiple weeks long, so I kind of will dive more into specifics as we talk about each different subject. If you guys have any questions about it though, leave them in the comments, or I would love for you to join me in my homeschool membership. I have lots of resources there for people that like to pull together a curriculum on their own and just want a community of like-minded homeschoolers. Thanks for being here, guys, and I will be back again next week.